While they are still keeping mum about Apple Watch sales, Apple has announced their App Store sales for the holiday season. On January 1st alone, Apple reports $144 million in sales for the iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple Watch, and the Apple TV, the apps on all of those devices. That is the biggest single day in Apple's App Store history. Customers spent $1.1 billion in the 2 weeks ending January 3rd, and they've paid developers over $40 billion since 2008. So most of this came from an Apple press release. What do you think about this, Georgia?
Well, I think it just shows how popular Apple is. Everyone's waiting for it to bust, but it is still breaking records and going through it. And it just shows how well Apple puts together its apps and its App Store. It's not perfect, but people are still enjoying it. And we're just buying more and more applications and having a lot of fun with that.
I mean, a big part of this has to be kind of holiday. I mean, it's just the holiday shopping, right? Like you get an iPhone for Christmas. What is the first thing that you are going to do? Mm-hmm. You're going to open up your App Store and you're going to find some really cool things that you can do with it. And that kind of plays into Apple's strength with iOS is that, you know, it's a tremendous phone in its own right. And you can have it do amazing things by extending its capabilities with apps. I guess that's, you know, same for Google, but they kind of play different sides of the coin. You know, Apple really focuses, and this after years ago, not having apps to begin with and thinking, oh, well, it's a web-based world, so we're going to do this all web-based. Eventually they come over to apps. Now it turns out that on iOS, apps are a pretty dominant way to explore you know, expanding the capabilities of your device. Yes, you can do that on other OSs like Android. You can do that, but Google takes a different approach. They take the ad-based approach, the more free, open. In fact, Google's going in reverse, right? Google's saying, how can we make the web more app-like instead of bolster up kind of the app ecosystem? It's doing a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think that it also says, you know, a little bit of how, you know, giving iTunes gift cards are now like a huge thing. Like it's now taken hold. Yeah. People know that they're going to be used. And so more and more we gave to our nieces and nephews, we gave them iTunes gift cards, which would, you know, then they can use them to buy whatever applications or music or whatever they really wanted to use with it. And I think that more and more people are doing that.
I totally agree. I think that's probably a big part of these sales because especially with kids. I mean, kids, they want, I know we can disagree about what the better operating system is, but I know the kids, they want iPhones. It's sort of the thing that they think. I don't know a lot of kids who are just like, get me an Android phone. You know, I mean, even your kids are that way, right?
Well, my kids are too young to have any sort of preference. If it has a screen, they're in. They're in. They do not care as far as that's concerned. As long as they can find Taylor Swift. That's pretty much what it boils down to for my kids, and that's all that matters.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. So this, like we said, this came from an Apple press release, and it was really putting their best foot forward. Like, look how much we sold in the App Store. But then there's this other story that's going on, which is what you sort of mentioned, Georgia. Like, everyone wants Apple to fail. There's this kind of inkling, like, are they selling as many iPhones? Are we reaching iPhone saturation? There was also a story about Foxconn, you know, is a factory in China where they make a lot of iPhones. They've been cutting down on their employees' hours. So it's like they're sort of reading the tea leaves, maybe trying to imagine that Apple is failing, or are we really getting near to a place where everyone has the iPhone that they want and they're not going to upgrade as often?
Well, I think that people are still going to upgrade quite a lot. And I think that Apple's, you know, having plans where you can pre-buy in and you get like a free phone if you pay monthly. I think that we're actually going to see a lot of sales of iPhones. But, you know, you have to take a look at when Apple releases a new phone, they're going to sell more during the holiday seasons. When people are buying a lot of gifts, they're going to sell more phones. And then the lull, when you're about to come into a new phone is going to be released. You don't want to be the person that's on the end of the product line. You're going to spend the money. It's better to wait a few months and then, you know, purchase the phone then. So a lot of people that might be thinking about it, upgrading, and they're like, you know what, there's going to be a new phone coming out. Maybe we will wait. And so there's always going to be this little lull that happens naturally in a product cycle. And so I don't know if this scaling back is just the natural cycle of everyone's already picked up the new phone that want to. The holidays are over, and now we have to kind of wait till the release of the 7, and then we're going to see another boon.
Now, are you still using an old-fashioned iPhone 6 instead of the 6S, Georgia?
I am not. Let me show you. Yes, I have. I did it.
Well, you said you were an every other year upgrader.
I am. I am. I know it's pink. It's pretty. I hate myself a little bit, but I did pick up the new phone. I could say, like, I could lie, like many people that work in tech say I kind of have to for work, but that's not why. It's just a beautiful phone.
Okay.
And I get to see Renee Watt use it all the time. And
Yeah,
so,
exactly. You're surrounded by people that have convinced themselves that they have to, and then that ends up being the pull. I know exactly what that's all about working here.
I don't want to do any yearly upgrade shaming because, I mean, Jason gets he upgrades his Android phone every 3 minutes, I think.
5, 6 minutes maybe. Hey, look.
How many phones do you have right now, Jason?
You know, it's actually pretty funny because a year ago I dropped what my phone was then, the Nexus 6, and people were like, oh man, that really sucks. I'm like, don't cry for me. Like, I have in my, at my desk, I have like 5 phones just laying there waiting to be used. It's totally cool. This could happen to, a much worse situation. So,
right.
But that's just part and parcel of working where we do and doing what we do. I think the average consumer, you're right, they're on an every other year schedule. My wife, for example, she buys a new phone every 2 years. And, when she's been with Verizon, I don't think Verizon does the new every 2 anymore, but things like that really kind of instilled that kind of habit in a lot of people of, hanging around with the device that you have. It costs you a lot up front, or maybe it only costs you a couple $100, but you're going to hold on to that for a couple of years until it gets to that point to where you just can't stand to use it anymore for whatever reason.
Well, I think that was the case. I'm not sure if that's still the case. I mean, I have a 12-year-old, and it makes perfect sense to get her on the iPhone Forever upgrade every year plan. Like, financially, it makes sense. It is cheaper, but it's still shocking to me that a 12-year-old would just say, okay, every year from now on, I'm going to get a new iPhone, and why not? Because it's $9 a month on the plan that we are, but it's, I mean, we're getting used to that. And I don't know what that's going to do to us or to the environment or just for our need to have new things. It's a little bit scary.
Yeah. You could have a trickle-down approach where you buy a new phone for your oldest, and then the next year that goes to the younger, and then a new phone for the...
That's true.
And it all trickles down.
They just keep having kids every year.
Yes. That's the other side of that.
You can buy more phones.
Yes.